Hey guys, welcome back to another paranormal podcast. Sorry if it took so long to get this posted. Amanda and I have been just going crazy, trying to help people. We've had quite a few private investigations. I kind of talked about that on the last video I did on YouTube here. But if you're just listening to this podcast, thank you very much. We really appreciate it. If you're watching it, we appreciate you too. If you're on our YouTube channel, please like and subscribe and hit that bell so that you know when new videos are coming out. We're trying to get a video out every, at least twice a week. We have investigations coming up. We have Bigfoot research coming up. We might be doing some more ghost hunting here in the future. A lot of stuff's going on, and so we're going to be posting as many videos as we can. So, anyways, we're going to be doing more gear reviews. Sorry about the noise. I have the dryer going on behind me. I didn't realize it was almost done. Anyways, so, yes, you can kind of see little Miss Haunted Doll. And yes, I've had some strange experiences since she's been here, and I thought I'd talk about this last time in the last video. But we're going to be doing, if you're just listening to the video podcast, if you go into our Deep Woods Paranormal YouTube channel, you can see more about her and what's going on with her. I think I've done a very short video on her on YouTube a couple of times. So the plan for her is to set a spirit box in front of her, set a K2 in front of her, and then an audio recorder next to her, and a camera. Have another camera besides a little security camera that watches her anytime we're not here, or in this room, I should say. So we're just trying to monitor and make sure there's nothing else going on. I've seen, if you have not watched our other videos, I've seen a very tall, skinny woman, shadowy womany figure. And a couple of times, we've already had one time where just behind me, the camera's sitting just to my left here on the desk, there was some kind of what looks like an apparition. It looks like it comes right up to, if you're watching this, you can see what I'm talking about. It comes right up to the monitor, right up to the camera, and then disappears really quickly. It's like a blow up a face, almost like a face and hands, like it comes up and looks at the camera, and then just disappears, and then you see a shadow form next to her. I also looked back at that video, and there's actually a smaller shadow that's about as tall as the doll is. You can kind of see her right here, standing on the table behind me. It's about that height. It's about this high, but it was standing right next to the closet here. So, anyways, that's a little update on her. That'll probably come out next week. I don't know if Amanda and I are going to do that this weekend or whatever. We're actually going to investigate another Bigfoot sighting this coming weekend, so that should be fun. We're going to see if the people that were involved will come on camera and kind of tell their story, which would be awesome. And if not, we might just do an audio of them talking about their experiences if they'll allow that. So more Bigfoot stuff coming your way, more ghost hunting. We will be doing UFO research in the future. The problem is there's just been clouds and clouds and clouds, and you can't see anything. So we are trying to find as many UFO locations as we can find. But anyways, all right. So pardon the rant for all that. I just wanted to catch everybody up to speed. We are actively investigating as much as possible with our personal life and everything. It's pretty busy. So we try and get out whenever we can, and we try and post videos to our YouTube channel, and we try and post podcasts at least once a week. So anyways, the thing I wanted to talk about today, hold on one second, let me get one more comfortable. There we go. Okay. So the thing I wanted to talk about today is a place called the Grand Canyon Caverns. This is an amazing little place. It's in Arizona. It's in a town called Peach Springs. We first came across it when Chris and I, who runs Orange County Ghosts and Legends, were doing ghost hunting tours. And the gentleman, the owner, called us up and said, "You got to come check this place out. It's haunted. I'm hearing all kinds of reports and rumors and all that other stuff." And so we were going to set up ghost hunting tours for them. And I think they kind of took over their own tours, which was great. It's good for them. Hopefully they're making money off that. But so we showed them we showed them how to do it and what we do and all that other stuff. But we did a lot of research at that location. Anytime you're going to set up a ghost hunting tour or whatever kind of tour, it doesn't matter what you're doing, you have to know the history. You have to know essentially the reports. And then you have to have your own stories. You have to have your own personal experiences, or even better, you have to even have documented proof of what you experienced. Doesn't mean it's paranormal in nature, but you have to have something interesting to show people, and you have to have a reason for people to come out. Okay, so we went out to this location. It's an old, I guess it was an old wagon stop back in the cowboy era, and back in the late 1800s. It was a place for people to stop. The place was originally founded. Basically, it was originally occupied by Indians, and so there's Indian burial ground on this location. So that's very interesting. And then this place has this huge cavern underneath it. It's one of the largest dry canyon caverns in the U.S. I think it's over 20 stories deep below the surface, and you can actually stay down there. They give tours during the day where you can walk through the cavern, and they tell you all the history and everything. And so I'm not going to get too much into the history, but anyways, the guy that founded this location was actually looking for gold, and so he kind of tunneled down into this cavern. And back in the day, this is back in the 1900s, early 1900s, he just had a little miner's light. And I'm guessing it was just a candle with some kind of reflective, almost like a cup facing, out. So the light would spread out against the wall. And what he saw was a whole lot of shiny objects. So he's going, "I've hit the gold mine. I've hit it rich with gold here. This has got to be gold." And he found out later that it wasn't. Supposedly he was not a very nice person. He did give tours down in the caverns for a while. They were very dangerous. They're not like today where you can have a walking path and an elevator that takes you down. You had to go down a platform, and there was ropes and pulleys involved, and it was a dangerous thing. So another thing they also found when he was down there, he found two Indian buried bodies that had been buried down there. They had caught the flu or something, and during a harsh winter, and so they buried their dead. The Indians buried their dead in this cavern. So you're going, "Okay, Matt, so where does the haunting start?" So this whole property, it's a big property. It's got to be acres and acres and acres. It's a really cool location. Let me just describe this a little bit more. They've got like old cars out there. They've got a dinosaur. They've got all kinds of cool stuff. This place is just kind of a smorgasbord of old collections. If you've seen the movie Toy Story, the Disney creator who stopped there basically got the idea for cars at this location. So I don't want to give away too much, but you guys, if you have a chance, go to Peach Springs, Arizona, and check out the Grand Canyon Caverns. It's really cool. So Chris and I investigated the whole place 3 or 4 times just to make sure we had enough documentation of activity and personal experiences, whatever else. So the longer we were there, the more we experienced. It seemed like the spirits kind of got to know us, and they were a little bit more active as they got comfortable with us. I'll have to tell you, staying in some of the rooms, I never felt comfortable in the rooms. I felt like I was being watched. I felt like something didn't want me there. There was this frustration, energy coming from whatever's there. I saw shadows. I tried to document them. As soon as I turned on the camera, they stopped. So that's the only way I got any sleep. So that's the rooms. A lot of the rooms have some kind of strange activity. People report a lot of activity. When you get to the main area, where it's almost like a warehouse, it's huge. It's a huge building. They have a beautiful restaurant up there and really good food. And then they have the cavern down below this big, huge area, this big building. They have a store on the side, and then, of course, they have a place to take you down. Then there's a lot of cool other things to see there. So you go down 23 or 24 stories or 26 or whatever it is, and basically you come out through these little tubes, these little tunnels. They're about 6 feet tall, maybe a little bit taller, and it's just beautiful. It's this huge open cavern. And what happened was, basically back when the Grand Canyon was full of water, for ocean water or lake or whatever it was, it created this cavern. And they're still exploring this cavern to this day. Supposedly there's been creatures seen deep down in the cavern. Chris and I never experienced that. At least I didn't. We investigated upstairs. We started with the upstairs in the kitchen area, because that's where they had a lot of reports. Unfortunately, the videos from the Grand Canyon Cavern, when I closed my other YouTube channel and created Deep Woods Paranormal, I just tried to rename the YouTube channel, and they closed my account for some reason. I don't know what happened, but I must have messed up somewhere. Had 1,000 followers there. Had over 1,000 followers there. So essentially what I did was I posted it there. I couldn't get any of those videos to download before I deleted my account, or before they deleted my account. I went on there and tried to get everything back, but those videos I wouldn't even be able to post them on the YouTube anymore, because they're so old, and the quality is so low with those old cameras. So let me just tell you what happened. And there's some funny stories in here, and there's some scary stories in here. So we started with the kitchen. We kept getting crazy hits. Something was very attracted to Chris, which was cool, because he kept getting K2 hits wherever he moved throughout. And there was probably about 20 tables in there. So they essentially, everywhere he would move to, they would follow him, which was awesome. When we were in the kitchen, we left, I don't know how many cameras in that place. We had cameras everywhere covering all of it. We heard voices, like talking, like they were talking to each other. We didn't have a spirit box at this time. This probably would have been a good device to have at this place, because I think we would have got a lot more answers. So we left the camera. We went outside for about a half an hour. We did what's called settling, letting the place just kind of quiet down, and anything activity-wise that happens in there, then you have a lot stronger evidence. So while we were in there, we could hear like somebody moving around. We could hear papers being shuffled. And their main office was like right by the door we were in. And we look around through the window, because there was a glass window there that you could see through the door. And we're like, there's nobody in there. We know the front door's locked. The only way in was where we were. And we were standing out there on purpose to make sure that nobody could get in without us knowing. So this continued on for a long time, and finally we were just like kids in the candy store. We're like, we gotta go get in here while this activity is happening. So unbeknownst to us, the video camera that was in the kitchen catches footsteps walking right up to the camera and then stopping. Other things that were caught, were experienced. Unfortunately, one of the ladies that worked in the restaurant, she was terrified of the ghosts. And so I think this might have been her last night. She was counting out the money at the end of the night, counting out the register. And I don't know how many people were sitting there. I mean, it must have been 5 or 6 of us, maybe more. We all hear, including her, this female voice say something. And it was almost as clear as I am talking to you, but we couldn't understand what it said. And we looked at her. We're like, what? She looked at us, and she just had this look on her face because it happened right next to her. She was terrified. I felt so bad for her. But she essentially just, her face just drained. I mean, she was pale white. And she just closed the door and ran out. She said it wasn't her. So, other cool things that happened in this place, because this audio is getting a little long. So the women's bathroom. I know you're going, you pervert, you're in the women's bathroom, but there was nobody there. We went in, we sent a couple females in first to see if they could experience this, and they did. And so Chris and I went in there to debunk it, to try and say, this is just this. I'm like, I can totally, prove this isn't happening. So here's the story. In the women's bathroom, the middle stall, the sensor's broken. I mean, it doesn't matter if you wave your hand in front of it, push the button, whatever. Excuse me. It will not flush. So we're standing in there, and God, the two people that were with me just had, oh my God, they had a field day laughing at me because this happened. So I'm standing there, I'm being stupid. I'm like, I sat on the toilet, I got up, of course I was fully dressed. I waved my hand in front of the sensor. I tapped the sensor. I closed the bathroom door, open, closed. I jump up and down like an idiot, just trying to see if I can get this thing to flush, So I'm in the process of reopening the door, and the freaking toilet, basically I just opened the door. Nobody was moving. None of us were in the sight of this so-called laser that didn't work. And the damn thing flushes. I almost jumped out of my skin. It scared the hell out of me. I wasn't expecting it, and those two were just laughing their heads off at me. Chris, if you're listening to this, you're probably laughing too. Anyways, so that happened. A haunted ladies' bathroom. People report being touched in there and all kinds of other things. So let's move on to the caverns, because I'm sure that's what you guys are most interested in. So Chris and I were allowed a couple different times. I think we just did it once. We were allowed to sleep down in the cavern for the night. And granted, this is, 4 or 5 years ago, maybe longer than that. And so essentially we had investigated all night long. We were exhausted. And so we turned on a movie, because there's no cable or anything down there, but they have a little tiny TV, and they have they have the DVD of Cars, which is funny. So essentially we were watching Cars, and there's two beds right next to each other. And we were going to sleep. I got up to go to the bathroom around 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. And I think we actually spent 2 nights down there. So we spent the whole weekend down there. Friday, Saturday night. So Friday night, I went up to go to the bathroom after we had investigated. This is probably about 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. I turned all the lights off except for inside of the booth of where you sleep, essentially. Now they've added more stuff down there, but back then it was just, the platform where you slept. They kind of made a room. I think it was, 25 square feet or something like that. It wasn't huge, but had its own private shower, a little toilet. So went in there to use the restrooms, and as I'm walking towards the bathroom, my video camera died, of course. I had a video camera recording us sleeping. I didn't know it had died at the point in time. I was half asleep. We had just gone to bed, and I see straight ahead of me, there's a couple boulders, and then nothing's flat in there. Everything's there's rocks and stuff like that. But I see what looks like a person, and they stood up from behind a rock, and they're looking at me, and I'm like, what the hell? No, I didn't hear the elevator come down. I don't think anybody's down here. The staff's closed and locked the door upstairs, and we're 20 some odd stories down. There's no way to get down there unless you use the elevator, or you're stupid enough to try and excuse my language, I take that back. I don't want to say stupid enough, brave enough to try and climb down all the crazy ladders they have to get down there. I mean, you would have made a ton of noise. We would have heard you coming in, when you first started. So anyways, I knew there wasn't anybody down there with us. And I woke up Chris. I'm like, dude, there's somebody in here. And so that was the end of that. He's like, okay. And he was tired. We went back to bed. We were exhausted. We spent like 12 hours investigating. We went all day and all night. So later that next night, we were walking through. We had turned off all the lights, and it's pitch black in there. You can't see your hand in front of your face. And so we're walking around in different areas of the cavern where the two bodies were discovered and stuff. And we hear what sounds like people walking. And again, we know that the restaurant's closed, everybody's out, there's nobody there. And we're like, okay, how the hell is somebody walking around in the dark in this pitch black? I mean, you'd probably, even though there's railings, you'd probably slip and fall or whatever, because there's elevation gain and steps and all kinds of stuff. But we did EVP sessions down there. We got quite a few K2 hits. There's no electricity down there except for what they put down there for the lighting and the platform where the room is down there. And so I'm like, okay, that's weird. So we wrapped up the investigation. We went to bed, and I couldn't sleep. We didn't have, I don't know what happened. The TV was off. We turned the TV off that night, and I think there was a couple of lights left on in the actual box and they're not very bright, just enough to see to get to the bathroom. If you go on the Grand Canyon Caverns website, you can look at their pictures and you can see what this room looks like. So anyways, this is the scary part. I was sitting down there. We were sleeping. Chris was right next to me in the bed next to me. And, there's a table in between, a side table in between the two beds. And I hear somebody coming walking down the path. And I'm like, okay, it's probably just a staff. And this is at 5 or 6 o'clock in the morning. Normally they show up around 6:30, 7 o'clock in the morning to start opening the restaurant, but they don't disturb the guests down below. They don't even start the first tour till like 10 or 11 o'clock in the morning. At that point, maybe it's even later. So there's nobody coming down. Nobody should have been down there, let's put it that way. So essentially I hear this person walking down the path. I'm like, what the hell? That's footsteps. And I didn't realize the camera just clicked off for some reason. And this always seems to happen. Every time there's paranormal activity, something always messes with our cameras, even long ago. So this thing walks, this person or whatever it was, makes these footsteps, these boot steps. It sounded like boots, like cowboy boots. Clunk, 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 all the way up and onto the wood steps into the platform. I hear him click, 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 and it walks in and stands in between us. So I can hear it shuffling its feet a little bit. And then I hear, get up. And I just froze. You know how, the kids, or, when you get scared as a kid, you pull the sheets up over your head. I wanted to do that. But I wanted this thing to think I was still asleep, so I wasn't experiencing it. I'm like, okay, the camera's getting this. We actually had an audio recorder between us too. And for some reason it didn't pick it up. But I'm like, and then that just validates that it's like, holy crap, I was not asleep. I was wide awake. And I can hear Chris snoring. I'm like, okay. And it was scary. It was like something just wanted us the hell out of there. Like I said, the old owner supposedly still haunts the place. There's Indians that supposedly still haunt the place. It was a old, what is it called? Wagons. Old wagons used to come through there and stuff like that. And so that was creepy as hell to experience that. And on the third or fourth time we went back with another investigator with us. We actually slept in what was called a bunk house. One of the cameras picks up an apparition in the bunkhouse, in the kitchen area, facing the one of the rooms. that's just off the kitchen. Like I said, if you ever go there, try and stay in the bunkhouse. It's pretty cool. It seems to be a little bit active. That's where the coaches stopped. So, anyways, Horseshoe. There's three couches, one against the window as you first turn and walk in, and then basically it's like a horseshoe. There's couch and couch, and then there's a potbelly stove there for the winter when it's cold. And so I set the camera up there, and this camera catches this. It must have been 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. We had just gone to bed. You can hear one of us snoring, and Chris is on the one side. Chris is on the one side. I'm on the other side, and you hear what sounds like somebody walk into the room. Again, boot steps, and you can hear them shuffle, and then you can hear them walk back out. And we had no idea this had happened. So I'm listening back to the video. I'm like, oh, we got it. We documented it. We got it on camera. And everybody who was there was just shocked. And we had gotten some K2 hits in there, but not a lot. And then another thing was caught was it sounded like horses trotting around all night long. And the camera picked that up as well. I think I just put a new mic on the camera, an external mic, which actually picked up way more stuff than just the mic, the regular camera itself. These were old Sony Handycams. They were HD cameras. They were really expensive cameras. I think people still kind of use them now, but these cameras were only like 960 HD cameras or something like that. They weren't. And the other cameras we have, old Sony Handycams we have, are like 760p. So again, they just don't fit the standard anymore for doing this kind of investigations. Now all of our cameras are 1080p or 4K or more, because we want to have high quality cameras. And of course we use our big cameras too, our Nikon cameras, to also document things as well sometimes. So anyways, Grand Canyon Caverns. I have not stayed at very many places I could say this place was haunted, but that place is haunted. I've stayed in a handful of places in my lifetime where I could say that was haunted. There was a lot of activity there. Whatever was there seemed to be pretty intelligent. Had a lot of personal experiences, saw a lot of shadows, documented some stuff. Unfortunately, I don't have the video anymore. It was corrupted. The original files were corrupted, and then when I tried to take them off of YouTube, it wouldn't let me back then. You couldn't remove those files. This is probably about 7 or 8 years ago. No, it was more than that. It was like 9 or 10 years ago. And if you know YouTube and you're going, oh, well, you could have taken that off there. I just wasn't able to. Not saying you couldn't do it, but I just didn't have any idea how to do it. I contacted YouTube. They weren't very much help. So anyways, maybe that's why they closed my account. Anyways, so that's the story of the Grand Canyon Caverns. Really cool location. If you get the chance to go out there, it's out in Arizona in Peach Springs. It's on the old highway out there. Go check it out. I mean, it seems to be pretty active. Maybe you'll have an experience. I would highly recommend you do a tour downstairs through the cavern. The people that do the tours are amazing, and just a really unique and amazing location without the paranormal experiences. And then you add in, the ghosts and stuff that we encountered, and it was just really cool. So, all right, guys. Well, thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Again, if you're on our paranormal podcast, please subscribe. If you're on our YouTube channel, please like the video and subscribe. It helps us get our content out there. The more likes we get, the better chances we have of being seen. So it's very important that we get as many likes as possible. And then also please subscribe. We do shoot videos. We do a lot of different content on our YouTube channel. We do paranormal investigations. We do gear breakdowns. We kind of talk about the gear and what we use it for and how everything works with it. We do podcasts, video podcasts, and then we also do, whatever. We talk about all kinds of different things. We do all kinds of different things. Like the little girl back here, we will be interviewing her with the spirit box here shortly. Like I said, I don't know if that's going to happen this week or next week, but that video will come out shortly too. So again, we really appreciate your support. Thank you guys for listening, and stay paranormal.